Hello, this is Tom with the Tractor Rescue Ranch. Today's project is going to be working on the starter on this John Deere 60. I've got that big old hay loader taken off of it. Sure looks like a real tractor now with that old behemoth thing pulled off. Got no use for it anymore, but in case you hadn't seen on when we rescued this tractor, the Bendix gear on that starter isn't kicking in like it should. You have to hit that starter pedal right there probably a dozen times before you can get it to kick in. The starter seems to be spinning, which is a good thing. You can buy a new Bendix gear for them for $30 or $40. And the complete starter that I seen online was $700. So hopefully we'll get this thing figured out and get it working better. So what I've got to do to start with here is to pull this cover off right there to expose that gear that the starter runs on. The starter is right there. You can see where that misshapen thing comes down. That's where the starter would come out, and it is held up underneath and got that cover over it. So I'm going to pull this main cover off right there, and I want to set the camera up and hit that starter a few times while everything's still together, and watch that Bendix gear and see if I can figure out from there what's going on. Okay, there is the flywheel exposed. The gear shows a little bit of wear there, but I've sure seen worse. I think it's completely reasonable that it's okay. So I'm going to set up the camera right down in here. See if we can watch what's happening with that gear on the starter as we do it. Maybe right in here would be the best angle. Okay, gonna try this here. I was trying to watch there. From the way it looks to me, right in here, there might be a bearing because the Bendix gear is going out the way it's supposed to. I'm going to watch the video and see if I can tell, but it looks like there must be a bearing out in it, and so that the gear isn't engaging with the teeth. Okay, I just switched angles. It does look like that bearing, there must be a bearing out in there. It looks to me like the bendix gear is going out and engaging, but it's just not turning the teeth. Looks like there must be too much play in there, so I'm going to try it from this other angle, see if I can see better. Well, I don't think I got anything to do from here but to pull that starter out. Them starters are supposed to be really heavy, so I'm not looking forward to that, but I'll get it pulled out so we can get a better look at that bendix gear, see what's going on. There is the starter. Looks all nice and clean in there, but out here on this outside end, hopefully I can get that light to shine up in there. You can see the bottom of that rod that comes down from that pedal, and it pushes the actuator that pushes the bendix gear in. And then right up in there you can see the battery cable coming down to it. So I got to take them pieces off here before I get the starter down out of there. Okay, got the starter out. But I do think that I've found the problem. I don't know if the camera is showing that, but there is so much slop in that gear that I think it's just disengaging from the teeth on that flywheel. So I'll have to pull it apart a little farther and take a good look at that gear, the bearings that's inside it. Okay, I think I've got what I think is the problem here figured out. For one thing, there's these two long bolts that you pull out of the back end. It's a lot easier if you just leave all that back end together after you pull them bolts out, so that you don't lose your brushes. Sometimes those brushes are really hard to get back together, but I think probably there's a bearing, a bushing right in there, and you can see how much slack is there. And then also there's a bushing there, and one out there on the point. I'm sure there's not supposed to be that much play in those bushings. So I think that's all that's wrong. I'm going to have to do some research and see if I can find those bushings somewhere. If I can knock them bushings out and put new bushings in, I think that'll fix the problem. The shaft here doesn't feel bad at all, so I think I'm okay there. So hopefully I'll be able to find them bushings and we will get this thing back together without putting a lot of money into it. Okay, after Watching that second video I took of the Bendix gear, when I hit the button, it didn't look to me like, when I was watching it on the computer, this gear wasn't turning. And so I needed to go and get a better look. There's teeth in there that coincide with this piece, and all of that looks just fine, good and tight. So the only way from there that gear wasn't turning, this piece here only allows it to turn one direction, so that when the motor starts it'll spin free. And just doing it by hand, it feels like it's okay, but I don't think it's okay. That's it, but that's the only place that it can't, that the shaft can spin and this gear not spin. So I went ahead and ordered a new bearing kit and new brushes for it that will go in there. And I ordered a new Bendix gear and the switch here on top, that little copper piece that engages there, looks pretty well burned up. When you push that, it engages with that copper piece on the starter and it spins the starter. So I think this piece here, I can just clean it up a little bit and then I'll put a new switch in it. So new switch, new Bendix gear, bearing set and brushes, and that ought to be essentially a brand new starter, especially since it already spins just fine. So that's where we're at. I'll do another video when I get my parts in and get it put back together. Thanks for watching.